This is 757 Saturday Sports Talk. Here are Matt Hatfield and Coach Ed Young.
Yes. Welcome back here to 757 Saturday Sports Talk. We've been looking forward to this one all summer long. One of our favorites joining us. He is the head football coach of the York Falcons. Longtime coach. He's won some Bay Rivers titles. He's made some deep playoff runs, and he's one of the long-standing veterans in high school football on Hampton Roads. We've known him for many years, as in recent years on our radio show, now podcast as Blue Smoke. We're talking about our pal Doug Pereira. Coach, thanks for joining us. How's the summer been for you?
Well, I'm glad I don't live in that neighborhood anymore. They all probably thought I was crazy, but it's going well, and just another summer. You know how it is.
Listen, it's easily one of Ed's favorite videos. He's always picking you in close games, so when you don't win them, blame it on Ed because he's dubbed you Blue Smoke, and that's what we go with.
I don't think I've picked against Doug in 5 years.
Hey,
now Doug Hatfield has. I'm just going to let you know that.
It's all good.
The first time I saw that video, I went outside. I was trying to figure how I can do it. I turned the exhaust up in the car, about choked myself to death. I couldn't find anything blue. It was a disaster. All I know is I'm so glad that when you did that video, A, Blue Smoke came out. B, the truck started, because I could see it not. If the truck would start, you begin out cussing like crazy, kicking it. The only thing I wish I could have seen added, blue smoke coming out of the truck as you took off. But I am not complaining because that's still one of the all-time classic great videos ever. Until they kick you out of the neighborhood.
Hey, have some smoke. Have a daughter with a friend. You can put that together. That's what we did.
Well, and the funny part, too, is we know you quite well. You're a real serious coach who's not always one that brags or brings attention to yourself or something like that. So that's what always made us laugh is that's not nearly your personality. So I wouldn't say totally out of character, but it was cool to see. You kind of let your hair down a little bit.
Great. Absolutely.
Anybody who knew my dad knew that's the Pereira comedy. That's what we are. And we do that type of stuff. That's our funny.
There you go.
There you go.
Well, let's dig into your team. And before we even dig into your team, I want to ask you about how you've had some fine decorated players over the years, guys like Ben Edwards, who set records and was dazzling to watch, Jordan Lennon just a couple years ago, who was one of the tremendous running back, all-purpose guys in the area. How are some of your former, and more than just those two guys, I think the Reynoldses, how are some of your ex-York Falcons doing these days? Are they still playing, and what are they up to?
I mean, we have various guys that have gone on to play college ball. Some stuck it out, some didn't. I would say that we're probably not much different than most schools around here, but we have been blessed with some guys. Had one from last year, Hayden Blanchard. He's heading to Hampton, Sydney, played some football down there. Jordan was a dude. Darius Reynolds was unbelievable also. And, of course, everyone around here kind of knows about the legend of Ben. So we've been blessed, but we've got guys here and there. About Jaden Flood Brown still playing some college ball. He was our tailback a couple of years ago. So I've been blessed, and I'm very proud of these guys who have moved on and played.
That's terrific. And what years is for you coming up as the head man at York?
Unbelievable. 18
seasons. Did you ever think when you started that it would be this long? And I got to say it's got to be this much fun, because if it's not this much fun, you're not there for 18 years.
Oh, I don't want to go anywhere else. That's for sure. I love my school. I love the spirit at York High School. We have a great admin staff, great athletic director. John Ashley just moved on. Amy Hunter's come in. It's all still going to be great. But to think that I would be in one place for 18 years like this, no, not at all.
18 seasons and counting for Doug Pereira, the head football coach of the York Falcons, our guest here on 757 Saturday Sports Talk. Like, share, and subscribe to CoVA Sports TV, wherever you're tuning in from, be it virginiapreps.com, Facebook, X, or Twitter as they call it, IG, Apple, Spotify. We thank you as the season opener kicks off for them after a couple of scrimmages, Ed, on September the 6th against the Gloucester Dukes.
Well, Doug, before we get into personnel and league and all that, 18 years, I got to ask, what keeps the drive? You kind of touched on it. What keeps your drive going? That 18-year, I'm going to say you're going to be definitely going a few more years. I'm not putting a tag on it. What keeps the drive now, as opposed to a younger coach just getting into business? He wants to see what he can do. What keeps you? What keeps Doug going?
Well, Ed, you know the answer, all right? But the bottom line is, as we keep doing this, we get, I don't want to call it comfortable, but we get better at it, all right? So I've grown quite a bit in my years. When I first started as a head coach, I was making as many mistakes as anybody else. Was blessed to have a great staff, still have a great staff. So that's helped all along. But it's high school football, man. Every single year is different from the last one. And so just the whole drive of what's going to happen this year, it makes you want to come back. And it's my number one hobby, right? So it's what I do. So that's just really what it is. I don't really see myself doing anything else yet. Okay, so that's where we are.
I can get that too. I mean, not to make this about me, but I'm a free agent right now, looking at a place to coach, and I've had people say to me, "Man, I've been doing this over 40 years. Why you still want to coach? Are you crazy? Go ahead and I just retired as a teacher because the classroom, that was enough. 41 years in the classroom, enough.
Yep.
But my drive to compete is still there. The juice to go to practice still there. And of course, you hit it really on it. It's you get a different group, even if it's some of the same kids, they're older, and you want to see them succeed, as I always said, not only as players, but classroom. And then hopefully the long range goal, which we coaches sometimes never get to see, is they're going to become better people because of what they've been with us. So that drive is still there. And the other thing is, this is the first off season I had where I didn't have to prep a team for high school, summer league, and whatever. And instead of sitting back and smoking a cigar, it was like I was nervous. I was trying to coach kids in the neighborhood and shooting at their hoop, and they looked at me like I was a crazy dude.
They still do. They don't look at you. They still look at you as a crazy dude.
They're going to still look at me that way too. That's why I wish I could come out of the house with like blue smoke, red smoke, whatever, had some kind of smoke, so they can say, "Oh, he's definitely crazy."
I mean, hey, it is what it is, and I'm not done competing. But like I said, Ed, you said 41 years. Well, that's 41 individual years, with each being different from the previous. And so, the idea of putting together a puzzle every summer and then seeing if we get it right during the season, I mean, it's still there. And fortunately for me, I still love the teaching aspect too. And I do create a separation between the two. So, I'm enjoying what I'm doing, and I'm very fortunate.
We know our time is precious with you here, Coach. Let's hit on the guys that are current York Falcons here in 2024. I know we got back your info, which we appreciate you sending it in. We got a preview people can check out on virginiapreps.com, compiled by our man Will Garlick, my colleague and correspondent. And we usually start with coaches on the offensive side of the ball, but I want to begin with defense because you bring back 9 starters, do you not?
Yes and no. So last year was a very complete rebuild. Even our seniors came in pretty heavily inexperienced. And so we had to take our bumps and bruises last year. And a lot of the guys that are starting this year were starters at one point or another. And so, we've got some pretty good guys coming back this year. On the defensive line, we got a guy named Elijah James and Kobe Jones, and they're kind of going to be the guys up front. They're going to, hold down the fort for us there. And Jack Speth and Brandon Overton at linebacker, inside linebacker for us. And then we have twins on the outside. One of them played varsity last year. The other one was JV. And that's Carter and Ben Ward, 2 outstanding football players. And in the defensive backfield, we have more experience coming back there with Jamarcus Tyler. Logan Uphoff is coming back. And then we have 2 guys that played offense last year that we've switched over there. Our quarterback from last year, Brady Connor, he's going to play more defense this year. And then a guy named Nazir Sanforenzo was our wingback. He's playing more corner this year. So it's really those guys that are kind of the core of what we're doing on defense. But most of them had starting experience last year. So that's going to help us.
And as Ed knows, whether it's a 13-12 white knuckler or a 42-40 head spinning game, the Bay Rivers produces a ton of exciting matchups that go down to the wire, sometimes maybe 3 or 4 a week.
Yeah. I would not trade the BRD and what the stadium looks like each week with the fans in these various games, the rivalries. I wouldn't trade what we've got going on in the BRD with anybody any day.
Man, it's gotten better year after year. We've seen not just you guys make a run, but Lafayette's been in the state championship this past year. Pocosin make a run to the state playoffs, and other teams. War Hill's been on the come up. So a lot of quality teams out there. A couple more minutes here with Coach Doug Pereira, the head man of the York Falcons, our guest on 757 Saturday Sports Talk. It's on CoVA Sports TV. Ed?
Well, Doug, okay, here's how I remember my first interaction with you, York Falcons. There would be Saturday mornings before we go on, when back in the day we had a radio show, I would see the scores of Bay Rivers District,
right?
38-36, 44-42 overtime. I never saw 1-0 games, which is good because I like a lot of scoring.
Sure.
And I got excited about that because most of those battles involved your squad. Now, a couple you were on the other end, but you came back from like down 4 touchdowns and maybe lost it by a point in overtime. And I'm like, the hell is going on with this Bay Rivers District? This is something else. But that excitement was there. And again, it has to do a lot with the offensive side. So now, as we get into this 18th year for you, talk about who's going to cause your excitement this year on the offensive side.
Yeah, a lot like our defense. We've got some depth on offense. We have an offensive line coming back with one guy that's a returning starter. All of the others are guys coming up from the JV, but they're solid. We're really pleased with what they're doing right now, how they're coming together. And it's going to be led by Jaden Davis at center. He's the guy returning. But we have a guy named Dylan Reed coming up who's a 350-pound offensive lineman, 6'4", and he's got a little chip on his shoulder too, which is crazy to think about. And he's going to be a solid player for us. And then at the skill positions, we've kind of got a bevy of guys out there. Connor Lawson used to be a backup quarterback. He's our tight end now. And then we have 2 guys, Braden Lemons and Jack Porter, playing our regular receiver. And then we have a quarterback that came in as a freshman who's going to be playing quite a bit for us, named A.J. Wilson. He was kind of a bit of a surprise showing up, and he's already kind of refined as a freshman, which shocks me. And then we've got there's 3 running backs: Jordan Hawthorne, Seamus Cassidy, brother of John Michael, who used to play for us, and a guy named Evan Munkow playing running back. All 3 of those guys can get it, and they do it in different ways. But really, the offense begins and ends for us with a rising sophomore. Munkow's a sophomore too, but Anthony Custis is going to be our newest version of Ben Edwards, where he could play quarterback, he could play wingback, he could play running back. We're going to put him in space. Defense is going to have to kind of chase him around. He's kind of the guy that we can maybe call our big time, the big play guy. So we're feeling pretty confident with what we're capable of doing, as long as the guys this summer, meld the way we think they're supposed to and the way they're going to. We should be in good shape. And we got to stay healthy, of course.
That's always paramount for everybody. Well, last one for me, maybe I can finish up with you with one as well. Coach, the Bay Rivers is we've talked about, gotten better and better and better. What's your view of the league and what it will take for York to be, after November 8th, that finale against Kraft, and having a chance to be in the playoff mix and making some noise there? What do you think it's going to boil down to, and how you fit in that BRD puzzle, if you will?
All right, so 100% starts with health, like I said before. The second thing, it has to be this team has to gel. Okay, the young guys have got to grow up quickly and accept their role, but also grow in their role. And then when it's all said and done, it comes down to, just like any high school league, you've got teams right now who might have been great last year. They're in rebuild this year, and so on and so forth. So we've got to handle our business against the teams we should beat. And then we've got to knock off a couple of the teams or a team that either we're level with or maybe they might be favored going in. We do that, and we should be in good shape to get into the playoffs with a good seed. Our team a couple of years ago, 2022, we were 7-3, and we were pretty good. But we got the 8th seed and faced Phoebus in the first round. And a lot of that had to do with, in the season, we didn't handle our business against the teams level with us or maybe slightly better or whatever. We beat all the guys below us, but we couldn't beat the guys that were level with us. And that came back to haunt us. So we've got to win some of those games that are going to be tough going in.
If I remember correctly, you won like 7 or 8 in a row in 2021 and ran into Phoebus. So I don't think you shed any tears when they moved up to Class 4.
7 times they beat us. I'm done. Let them move.
7. Goodness.
7 times over the years.
Let them play up. Well, they beat Oscar Smith, who was Class 6 that one year too, coming off a championship. So they were beating everybody, whether they were 6-5, 4-3, 2-1 blast off. So
yeah, hey, to their credit, and they're great program. I'm never gonna talk against that. They know what they're doing over there.
Well, Coach, it's a pleasure having you on the program. I'm sure this won't be the last time, and we'll get you back on after a big win where Ed can find a way to get some blue smoke in his house or at our studios to celebrate you getting a win and him getting the prediction right. So all the best to you. Keep in touch, and we'll be watching and keeping a close eye on how the Falcons do here in 2024.
Guys, thank you very much for having me. Yes, Ed.
Doug, one more thing.
Yeah.
I used to tell the younger coaches when we have them on, even though I don't know a damn thing about football.
You don't.
But tell the veteran guy, because I told Stikowski at Cox a couple years ago, and the play worked, and he won a game, and I told him I don't want no credit.
It also didn't work 2 times when he lost, but go ahead.
4th and inches. Make sure sometime during the season you put in the end around, the flea flicker, or we hike to the running back, spread the quarterback out wide. Looks like we're running it. We pitch it over the top. He scores in the end zone. 4th and inches. I know you probably veteran guys. Why I don't tell you probably have it. Don't be afraid to use it.
Something along that line will happen before the season's over, Ed. I can tell you that for a fact.
There I go. That's what I want to hear.
Yeah. Hey, thanks for having me, guys. Go Falcons.
There you go. York Falcons head football coach Doug Pereira, our guest here on 757 Saturday Sports Talk. We'll take a time out and hear from some of the sponsors and make it possible for us here. You're watching